Okay. So I'm going to walk you through how to actually create your mini course, masterclass. I like to say mini course because we're just going to break this up into two videos between this one and then the video that's going to be behind the application wall. Okay. So I want to preface this with some information. There are so many ways to do masterclasses. I have done the perfect webinar funnel. I have done funnel gorgeous. Dan Henry. I've done just speaking into the camera and just talking about the offer. There are so many ways that work. I have it where you do the stack, you don't do the stack, where you actually give a little bit of the training and then people buy. So what this version of the masterclass is an updated version of a smorgasbord of all of those styles of masterclasses. But what I did was I just took all the things I liked and all the things I didn't. And I thought about how I, as someone who is an empowered buyer, you don't need to convince me. This all kind of stemmed from when I purchased a $2,500 course and literally from an ad. And it's an amazing course. I think his name is, I don't even know his name, but Colin Boyd. And he talks to you about speaking from stage and things like that. And it's a great program. And it is very ClickFunnels-y though, in the style of the presentation. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really good. And I learned so much from it. But also, I didn't even use the program. So I thought about how I buy and how I don't like being stuck behind those fake webinar timers. I'm someone that likes to skim. I don't care if the video is an hour and a half long or an hour long. I'm a 2X girl, so I'm going to 2X it anyways. So the point is that I want you to focus on the principles of what is being asked in each section of information so that then you can really put your razzle dazzle over it. As long as you are covering the principles, then you can say it and express it in a way that feels best for your brand. So again, I took over the last 4 years of studying master classes, a smorgasbord of my favorite things and my favorite processes from all the courses that I bought, and I smushed it into one masterclass. Because another thing too is if I'm like me, I didn't even need to get to the end of his presentation to buy. I literally bought probably within the first 30% of the presentation. I then fast forwarded to the end, just technically be like, well, what am I actually getting here? Because I don't, I'm already sold, but technically, what am I getting? So taking all of those into consideration, as well as the current market where people have been burned, or there's more intelligent buyers, or there's just a lot of options, a lot of information out there. The buying process has changed. There's a relational element. People say these webinars and masterclasses are dead. They are not. This is why I want you to understand the principles and then infuse your wonderful touch on it, okay? And then, of course, you know this. That is why you're in this program. But we want to speak to the results. We do not care per se about the product. We do not care per se about telling them how amazing your life is now that you have it, or how much of a struggle you were from the context of sharing your story. They do not care about the 10,000 million details of what's in your product. This is a high empowered buyer. They care about the results and how it solves their problem. So that's why we're going to talk about you, but we're going to make it about them. And we want to educate around the value of the topic. So whatever topic we chose that we pulled out, right? Because your program has a signature process, solves a very specific problem. But there is one topic that your audience is like, I either want to know how to do this, I want to solve that problem, I want to know how you got that desire, because that's the first thing that's stuck in their head, right? We have to break down their perceived problem, answer that first, shift their perspective, push them into the root problem, because now they're like, oh, I get it. They're open now to see the root problem, frame the root problem around your signature framework. And then because of that, you've already primed them to buy your offer, because everything paints the next logical step, but you're psychologically answering the buying process inside of their mind. You're not just saying, hey, this is your problem, and then jump to my solution. You're answering all the things. They have their problem. They think it's this. They're trying all these things. You're going through all of that. And they're like, okay, yeah. And then when you share your process and your framework, it's your unique way of thinking about it and what it is and not the actual sauce. Okay. So we are going to educate around the value. We're going to shift perspectives, right? We're going to talk about all the problems that they're experiencing, how your signature framework gets them to that desire. All right. And then we're going to explain why it's important for them to use this framework if they desire to get this result, because what they've been trying is the reason why they haven't been going. And I'm going to explain you why. And then it's going to show you then why I came up with my process. Because, hey, I tried the same thing you tried. I got that result, but I realized in order to actually get my result, this is what I had to do. Okay. And then, of course, going through any sort of offer friction, brand friction, buying friction, and just making sure we cover all of that. Okay. So this is kind of just like the prep stuff. You already have it, but the name of your offer, what's the new opportunity, your signature process. Okay. You don't have to have this flashy, jazzy name. You can literally just like say your like 4-phase process or whatever the case is. But we are selling your unique perspective. We are selling your unique framework. If you need some more time to work on this, let me know. There is a process that we can go through to talk about how to find like your signature process. But again, it's like you literally take people through phases or modules or certain steps. Now you don't need 8,000,000 modules in the explanation, but it's like you can probably find a common sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 process that you have. Okay. So for example, there's a lot of steps inside fast funnels, but for me, it's offer building, it's offer messaging, it's tech or funnel strategy and setup, and then it's traffic. So I mean, 1, 2, 3 is like really the way to then get sustainable sales. Okay. Or faster sales, right? Than content, right? Faster than 90 days of content. So main transformation, you filled out most of this in your offer document. So a lot of the stuff that you fill out in your offer document and your buyer document, it's in here. Same thing. Ooh, excuse me. Your buyer position. So you're just filling that out so you have that. Your title slide, if we've already worked this out, you don't have to try to force it, but basically your title slide is like how to get this transformation about the thing they hate. It could be how I got to 100K months, or it could be how to generate leads so that you have steady and consistent sales without doing X, Y, Z. And then you can have a sub headline. Okay. So it's action based, something they want to learn. It's their now problem awareness. You can generally use that USP. That's why we really wanted to be clear on it, your unique selling proposition. I'm going to show you an example here. Now, I'm not going to go through this entire version of my presentation because you can see this from 2003 and I've updated it dramatically. I've cut out like this one I'm about to take you through is 36 slides. I literally cut out half that was extra, but how to turn your followers into paying customers, right? So I don't want this just to be like, oh, content that converts. It's like, oh, I want to sell my framework, which is essentially kind of what you guys are going through, but learn how to create consistent income with your signature offer on autopilot without staying stuck on social media 24/7. Okay. So that's kind of like the thing that they don't want. It's like, ugh, I'm on this app all day. Like I love it, but when I have to be on there to sell, it's a mess. And then I'm just, calling on my avatar and I say, for coaches and course creators, because I do have so many people that are maybe e-commerce and stuff like that. And this specific training and my specific program is not for that, even though it can help them, but for them to have the ability to appropriate the information for themselves, I'm not going through all that. That's not what the offer is for. So there's something called micro agreements. I think we've probably talked about this before, but the more that you can get people to say yes towards you and you being the person to solve their problems, then it's going to increase subconsciously the likelihood for sales. So obviously we want proper micro agreements. So for them to even opt into your funnel was a micro agreement. For them to move through each step of the funnel is a micro agreement. So as you're talking, you can be like, uh, so today we're going to talk about how to turn your followers into paying customers. That's probably why you're here, right? So they're already in agreement, like nodding their head for that, because that's exactly why they're here. And so it's like, so if you're just like, man, I am so ready to learn how to create consistent income with my signature offer. All right. And I want to do this on autopilot without staying stuck on social media 24/7. This is you, then let's keep going. So it's just as simple as a flow, and whether or not they're live, you can find naturally where there are micro agreement touch points that you can say in your script. So you don't have to like pre-plan them out. Just be aware of that is something that you can do. If you don't ever do it, it's totally fine. There's other ways that they'll, move through the funnel, but it's just something that it's very helpful. So introduction slide, I think is that the same as my tagline? No. Okay. So the introduction slide is now you're going to call out, you're going to introduce more of your signature framework and then call out the person that you're helping with. So it's like, this is my fast funnel framework for Kingdom coaches, right? And I will repeat my tagline, which basically says, how to turn your followers into paying customers, create consistent income with your signature offer on autopilot without staying stuck on social media 24/7. You're just repeating it, okay? You do not want to say program at this stage because they are not, I mean, they're going to buy something. I mean, that's pretty clear, but we just don't want to immediately subconsciously turn them off. So in the next slide, you are going to be addressing basically their now problems. What is their current problem? And you can just do this in simple, quick bullet points. Now, again, I am changing this presentation, but I'll show you an example of what this looks like. So you can literally just do 3 bullet points, and again, I even have a micro agreement as the header. It's like you have big goals of leaving your day job and turning your course coaching program into a full-time business. You spend every day promoting, even with discounts, and you're barely making any sales. And if you do, they aren't sustainable, repeatable, or predictable. So you can address what are they already doing? Okay. So like this is someone who is consistently taking action right now. Okay. So it's not that they're not doing anything, but like this is what they're doing. So I am trying, I am live launching, I am posting every day, right? And I've been trying to create funnels. I've been trying to create content funnels. I have been trying to create lead magnets that convert, but, and they have not been working, but I am so ready for sustainable income. Okay. So could be the most common thing that they've been trying. This could be what the industry says, right? So what they're already doing is like, hey, this is me and this is what I do every day. What they're trying is the new thing they've been trying to implement to get to the desire that you solve, or the problem that you solve, or get to the desire that you solve. And they're not, it's just not working. So it's like, again, I am posting every day and my content is not bringing in sales. I am live launching and that cash flow is running out. I have been trying to either get ahead on my cash flow with hopes to have time to build a funnel. I have been maybe trying to build a funnel, but every time I get so lost in how to get it done. And I'm so ready for sustainable income. Okay. So you're addressing some of the now problems, but from an action taker perspective, not like, are you struggling with this? Are you struggling with that? We're not doing that. Okay. So then this is where the messaging is going to be key. Okay. We want to speak to high ticket buyers. So we're going to talk to them as if they already are trying to achieve the results, not talking to them as if they don't know. So it's not going to be like so for example, it's not going to be like why you need funnels. They already know that you're here. You've been trying to do that. But you want to show them that it's not about why they need funnels. Okay. You want to talk to them about how to make it actually work for them, because the prevailing wisdom or what they've been trying, this is why that hasn't been working. And I'm going to show you actually why my way is easier, because you're here. You already know why you need funnels. Okay. So you're not, talking to someone that's, you tips on, how to make the funnels work and stuff like that. Because if we start going into that realm, this is exactly why people don't buy. Okay. So again, we are talking to the buyer who is actively participating in looking to try to achieve their results. They don't care about free value. They want to know how you can help them and have an understanding about what your method is, because they've been trying to solve this. Okay. So you're going to be addressing the problems. You're going to be addressing what's blocking them and showing them how to get around that, telling them how to get around that, right? Because the how is going to be your program. Why your program is different from others, because maybe, this market has so much noise, and that it's actually possible for them as well. Okay. So talk to the individual that's actively trying to achieve their goals and desires. Okay. So it can be literally just bullet points. Identify the specific things that they're doing to try to reach their objectives. Discuss the activities they've been dedicating their time to, but they're not achieving the desired results. Okay. Demonstrate that you truly understand them. And this is, again, for a proactive buyer who is already making strides. So it is really actually going a little bit more into the things that they're trying to do that isn't working. And again, these are the things they think solve the problems, and you're addressing the symptoms. So you can say, you're now trying to, muster up the energy for a bigger live launch. or whatever the case is, because you feel like if you have a bigger live launch and you have a more cash flow just to get ahead, or you think that you need to create more offers, or you think that, and then you really go like you show, and hey, you've been trying to this, you've been trying to actually, maybe make your reels go viral, or do master classes and hope they convert. You've been working on actively trying to do this, yet you are not getting the results that you want. So then you can go to the next slide that says, hey, you've been trying to do this, you've been trying to do all of these things, but because the way in which you're trying to do all of these things to solve your problem, the results that you're getting is either time wasted from, and we're just using the funnel analogy of 90 days worth of content created, and that's 90 days of no sales, or a live launch where you were just like not super happy about it because you didn't have the energy for it, or you have built this super, super complex webinar funnel and you're like, I wouldn't even purchase from it. So again, a lot of time wasted, and you're no closer because you've been doing all of these things to getting those sustainable sales. Okay. So it's really kind of just addressing more of the symptoms. This is like a quick, hey, this is your now problem, and this is really addressing the symptoms and the things they think solve that problem. Okay. And you can just list this in bullet points, and you're going to be more so explaining it and talking it out. Now you're going to introduce yourself, and you're going to get short and sweet, straight to the point. So I'll show you a little bit, just like short and sweet, straight to the point. So share some facts about yourself that connect with your audience and explain why they should listen to you. Okay. Relate to them by showing them that you understand their situation. This is now where you step into your authority, but there's also connection. So you're going to start to share your transformation story. You can use as many slides as you need for this, but obviously keep it succinct. But you want to introduce who you are and what you do. Okay. You want to connect to them and be like, I'm just like you. So you can just be like, hey, I am Terry, and I am a Kingdom coach, and I help Kingdom coaches automate their sales. Okay. However, that was not always my reality. Actually, when I started my first business in 2018, I was 80 grand in debt and had no possible way of figuring out how to get out of this debt. Okay. So that's it explaining the reason why I started this. And so as I scoured the internet to figure out how to create money online, I saw this way, this way, that way. And I was like, I was determined to actually find a way that would allow me to create income fast, but not get rid of any of the quality of what I would provide for my audience, and not lose any integrity in my marketing process. Right. So you kind of go and just talk through a little summary of your timeline. So you can just show a picture of kind of where you were at the start of your transformation. I think I do this here. Yeah. I talk about how I was 80 grand in debt, worked my way out into the hospital. And then I think actually not in this presentation. I'm sorry. In my other presentation, I show a picture of me in Hawaii in 2013. And I was sharing how I had no money in my bank account. That trip cost me $100. I stayed at my friend's house. But that was my pivotal moment, because I knew I needed to go back and I needed to get out of this debt. I needed to make it. And I was determined to find a way to make it work. And then as soon as I came back is when I stumbled into this whole sort of like funnels course creator world. And then the rest is history. So just sharing that story and the relatable. So the breakthrough I had was that, oh yeah, you actually don't need to build a social media following in order to sell online. You can actually use funnels and you can build your following later. So that's, kind of one of the analogies I had. So here's what I did. It was just like, I got to work. I learned how to package my genius into a course, package my genius into a funnel. And then I learned how to get affordable traffic into that funnel. And that is how I was able to get out of debt. Because I think I went from 80K into debt to like $150,000 in 90 days. And when you're sharing this story, this is where you're going to start to uncover people's beliefs of how the internal beliefs. We talked about this in the document. So then I'll say, but at this time, of course, I had to battle imposter syndrome. I had to battle, man, can it possibly be that easy for me to make money that quickly and that fast, especially because I got this myself in this mess? Is it possible that I can actually make money and I didn't have to quote unquote work hard for it, right? Because working hard for it doesn't mean that I'm going to give crappy quality. It's just that I have been taught that, you have to really toil for your money, or you really have to earn or prove. Can it be that possible that, yes, of course, when someone buys my offer, it's going to really help them, but can it be that possible for the sales to be easy? So I'm challenging at this point some of the beliefs that my clients have, but I also had at the same time as well. Okay. So, I mean, it is very hard to get out of the hospital, and feel like you're qualified to sell. And, but you literally just got out of the hospital. So it's like major imposter syndrome, major worth issues. And God was super, super faithful with me in that, where he showed me my worth despite what I thought about myself. And even though so many people had known that I was in the hospital, they were still like, well, obviously after I like took some time and got myself together. But then when they knew like I was kind of like back in the business world, they were like, oh yeah, Terry's an expert at this, Terry's an expert at that. And I'm like, wait, what? You would still hire me? Like, even though I just came out of the hospital. And they're like in my mind, I didn't say that to them, but they obviously didn't even care. So it's like, I know those beliefs that hold people back. So sharing, when you see what your clients' beliefs are and sharing that part of your story, that's going to start to break down. Can I do it? Is it possible for me? And then of course, like proof of transformation, if you don't have anything for clients, then share your own results. Okay. And then at this point, you want to go back into sort of connection, right? Because wherever you are now, you're probably living in your $100,000 or success. You're probably living in your freedom, in your goal, right? Because you're the expert, you're the authority. And so really just connect with them and saying, hey, if I can do this, why can't you? Right. And just really explaining how it's possible. And you can have like a before and after picture. And just it's just kind of just like an encouragement, empowerment thing. Is like totally know exactly how you feel. No, not exactly how you feel, but I totally can relate to how you feel and thinking, gosh, okay, well, that sounds good for you, but can it work for me? And that's the same thing that I thought. And that don't allow that belief to be something that holds you back. Right. And then showing them that it is possible. How, hey, I either was like for example, I have busy moms that were in this program and they built funnels. Like it's possible. It's not just for me because I don't have any kids or whatever the case. Like it really is possible for anyone. And then you can go into a big vision slide. So you can have a photo, a quote, something that explains, just kind of visually shows what life is like on the other side. Okay. Because this whole introduction section is priming the desire and result. It's focusing on their payoff and making the outcome of your framework desirable. So by the time you get into your framework, they've already been primed, because the whole point of this is that, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, we're speaking to results. They're not coming here for tips. They're coming here for you to answer their problems. It is literally like if they were to get on a call and you would address all of their problems and tell them, it's like on like on a discovery call. And you're like, yeah, the reason why you have the problem actually is this, da, 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 da. And then you'd go into like a little bit of your framework. It's literally the same process, except for inside of a masterclass. So a high ticket buyer who's ready to buy doesn't need tips, doesn't need all this free value. Like, these are my problems. What is your way of solving it? Can you actually solve it? Do you have proof to solve it? And then also, can you relate to me? Can you connect to me? I'm ready to buy. Okay. So then we go into your first CTA. So you can see here how we have not touched into any of the actual part of the framework just yet. Really, it's just about qualifying the people to be like, is this relatable to you? And getting through that friction of the now awareness, but not making it seem like this super, super fluffy like webinar that's all long drawn out. Literally, sometimes on some people's webinar, they literally take like 30 minutes on their story. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And the webinar was like 2 hours long. I was so shocked when people actually bought it, because I was just like, oh, I can't even get past the beginning. So this is like super succinct and to the point. But most importantly, the beginning of part is using storytelling to create connection, but also establishing your authority and priming the desire and the result, but not in a way that is fluff, is like straight to the point, hitting them with that targeted messaging. So there's some people that are just like, look, at this, kind of like me with the with the webinar, I mean the program I bought. I'm like, I'm just ready to buy. Just tell me where to buy. So there's so many ways that we can do this, and you decide what works best for you. You can literally just tell them the link to go below and apply, or you can send them. So you can say, if you're ready to buy, there's a link below this video. Go ahead and click it and apply, and let's get you set up and started on figuring out how we can help you solve this problem. Alternatively, they can click the button below to send you a DM with a specific keyword. Benefit of that is that they can become a follower if you have other content that it supports this, right? Like once you have your sticky web content, it's just going to build up more agreement. So if you're ready, you've heard enough, then like go ahead, DM this keyword so that I know that you came for this masterclass. And then of course we're going to set up a ManyChat for this if you decide to do that. And then, let's just move on in the process. If someone's like, I'm just ready. And you can even have two buttons underneath your video, DM or an apply, but we'll figure that out. It's just deciding what language you want to use here. And then you continue on and say, all right, well, we just want to make sure this is a good fit for you. I'm going to say here, our framework is a good fit for you. So stay tuned. Let's watch full training, and then you can apply at the end if you want our help. Okay. So then we're going to get into your content. Okay. We're talking about what is possible. Okay. The proof that it's possible. So you're going to back up your proof that it's possible, the nuts and bolts of what's possible, not the actual how. We do not go into the how. Okay. Talk about the what and the why, and we sell the how to do it. So you tell them what it is, tell them why it's important, and you teach them how it's possible, not how to do it. And that's through stories, analogies, case studies, and things like this. This is how I help people. This is my perspective on this transformation. This is when you go into your unique solution because you've already tore down what they thought the problem was, their perspective around it, their false beliefs around it. Now they're open to seeing the root problem before you even get into your framework and how, so you're now moving them along this journey from point A to point B. Okay. So I'll let you read through all this. Again, this is an opportunity for you to find different micro agreements. Here's some examples. Use them or not. So now we're going to break down the issues that they have about, well, okay, if we're going to use funnels, I don't know if it's possible because everyone says this about my process. I don't know if 100K with content is going to be possible because I don't know if this mindset stuff or whatever is going to work because I don't know if this weight loss is going to work because it's all the things. And this is when you are in this section, this is where they're going to have their aha moments and really start to shift their perspective even more to be primed for your signature process to be the vehicle that gets them to what they want. Okay. And so you can list some of the things that are like the top things that people believe about this process you're about to teach them that is holding them back. And then also use we, because we don't want them to be like pointing fingers, and we is kind of like inclusive. So you list a belief, you break down the first one. So you've done most of this probably in your document if you've done that already. You break down that first belief, and then you use an analogy to explain it. So maybe a belief is that funnels are dead. Okay. And then I use an analogy about, that let's say the belief is that this or that, where there's this narrative about how either use funnels or you either use organic, one or the other. One's going to saturate the other, And I break that down why that isn't true. I break down actually why funnels work with organic and how they're actually supercharged with each other. And then after I break down that belief, and I say, and if this is you, like you've been crushing it with your organic, you've been crushing it with your live launching, then the funnel is just going to amplify what it is, amplify and sustain what it is you've already done. And you see this a lot in my content where I say, you've done the hard work for the funnel. If you are successful at launching, if you have been successful at selling, the only thing is just it has not been hands-free and sustainable. I'm like, you literally already have done the hard work with your messaging. So now they're like, oh, wait, so what? So now I'm affirming that belief. Okay. You're going to do the second belief. And then you continue to elaborate further on the second belief. And then you're going to call them up. You're going to say, so you don't have to rely on live launching anymore. You don't have to rely on showing up every day if you don't want to. And then you can kind of, call them up, telling them why they don't have to do the hard way anymore, why those things actually play together, why your thing helps, blah, blah. And they should have a better understanding of what the problem actually was. Now it goes into your unique framework which is where you'll share your unique perspective and your approach on solving their problem. So I hope you see how, if you've done any of the MSB work and you saw some of the content strategies from creating your content, how it's actually now in this funnel. And so in this messaging, and it's going to be so cool because a lot of the stuff in this funnel and this masterclass you can take as micro pieces of content. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So you're going to introduce your framework and then you're going to break down each one. So let me show you really quick. Sorry, this is like live. I usually do this live. So there's a few ways you can do it. You can break down each one and show them saying, hey, this is like my framework, right? So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can go into, you show them all of them. Then you can go into the first one, right? And you're going to break down what it is and why it's important. And you're going to do that for each of your framework. Do not have more than 4. So you don't have to have a separate slide for this, but usually when I'm breaking down the framework, I'm talking about the mistake that people have and why like this hasn't been working for them. And like, again, my signature process on how I solve that. Okay. Because you're going into your signature framework. Your signature framework is being primed as the answer now because they're finally like, okay, you've solved all my problems. I get it. I need to do this. So then the question that they have at this point is, well, where do I go for the answer? So if you don't do this part well, what ends up happening is that you've moved them to now be solution aware, and they're going to go for someone else that's going to actually talk about their signature framework, not just like, oh, we build a funnel and do. It's like, no, I'm actually going to talk to you about offer messaging. Oh, did you know that your offer messaging actually informs your funnel messaging? Most people just have you, plug and play into a template without even doing that, right? So talking about what it is and why it's important, right? Your funnel has not been working because you've just tried to plug and play into a template and you did not even take the time to actually curate your offer messaging to craft the narrative of your funnel, right? Or, hey, your funnel isn't converting because you actually did not apply a funnel strategy for optimizing your dollar and optimizing the flow of how your customers come in. Okay, now when you get to this slide, excuse me. When you get to this slide, you don't have to have this slide if you are not in a super competitive industry. So really, it's just, these are the slides where you share why your program is different. And you can do it in the framework of like 2 key things to make this work, right? So I can say, okay, so now you see my framework, right? So this and that. Now here's the key thing to make this framework work, right? You have to know who your buyer is and how to specifically speak to them to solve their problem. If you don't do this, then you'll be talking about an offer framework, but then you may get the wrong people in your funnel. And so you actually have a funnel that converts, but because you're speaking to the wrong person, right? And then you can, because that's another thing, right? Where I have clients where they can get a ton of people in their funnel, but like, why isn't anyone buying? We found out it's like, well, you're speaking so much to this amazing result and desire, but you're not actually speaking to your dream buyer. So then you can do that for framework number 2. So framework number 2 could be like, the reason why, and the thing is that you can say, the other key thing is that you cannot use a copy and paste template, right? Copy and paste template without consideration to your strategy and business model is why your funnel isn't working, because there is no one size fits all funnel. What I teach you inside of it is how to create a funnel by using all of these different ingredients to easily create a funnel that's custom for you, blah, 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 right? And then now at slide 30, we're going back to connection. So we've talked about your framework. We've talked about your content and your unique perspective, your money-making content, right? And now it's back to connecting, right? And this is kind of where you talk a little bit about your mission, your vision, and things like that. Because at this point, you have walked through this formula. You've walked to the thing you think that solves the problem. You've addressed the symptoms. You've shared your solution. You've shared your unique perspective and lens and signature process. And then you've spoken how all of that gets them to the result and their desire, solving this problem, right? So that you have primed them now to be receptive to your offer. So you want to connect to them. You're like, hey, I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to try to make things work. I know what it feels like to have the weight of, trying to solve all these problems. because you've been there before. Okay. You know what it felt like. This is the reason why you do the things that you do. I remember being where you were. I remember, sorry, I'm just like, whew, I don't get emotional about it, but I'm like, I remember what it was like to sit on that couch after getting burnt out from being in the hospital and being like, what the F? And thinking to myself, gosh, there has to be a better way. And then fell into the world of infopreneurship. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the rest is history. And when I could literally not work, I spent 3 months for my very first time learning how to build a course and a funnel. And that year made 56 grand, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for someone who literally just came out of the hospital, who had n- no physical energy to work, was literally sleeping like 15, 16 hours a day for months, for that to at least be making me money and pay my bills was such a blessing. And so after that, I was just like, oh, I get it. I will never not start anything without having a funnel in the background because my organic content fuels my funnel. So it's like, I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to be tired. Know what it feels like when you just literally don't want to show up every day and post, but the gurus say, oh, you're not making sales because you haven't made 10,000 million offers all day. That is so absolutely true. But the reality is that it's just not possible for everyone to do that. And then that shame comes in where it's just like, man, I'm not doing all the things. And so this is why I'm not making sales. So guess what? If you can't show up to make more offers every day, your funnel surely will. Do you see what I'm saying? So, just really connecting, creating that connection, right? And so after that, you've probably seen this checklist before in the content section, but going through this checklist, making sure you are not convincing, you're not trying to prove, you're not just like going overboard. Okay. Now we're going to get into your offers. So this is like the easiest way to pitch. I know some people get to this point where you're like, I'm scared to sell. Hopefully that is not you because you more than likely wouldn't be in this if you were um, at that place. Um, so when we are selling, we're going to focus on the framework. We've spent a lot of time educating on your framework, how it solves their problem, right? Getting them to understand the value of what you teach. And so we're not going to then go crush all of that and talk about their features and details. We're going to continue to talk about it from your client's perspective. Okay. Even selling these details, we need to show them why it's important and why you even have it. And you're going to be speaking up from it from solving problems and speaking to results. Okay. So now you transition into your pitch after you're done sharing this last bit of your or connection point, and you just really repeat the beginning of the tagline. So you're here because, and so if you're still here, I just want to invite you to join me inside of F2S. If you're good and you're like, I got what I need, you can like totally sign off. But if you're like, okay, period, I need to start working on this now, I'm ready for this, I invite you to join me inside F2S so that you can, right? And you just literally go back and repeat your pitch. Where's your pitch? Where's your pitch? You want to turn your followers into paying customers and you want to do it without being stuck on social media 24/7 by creating consistent income from selling your signature offer on autopilot. So you can twist the way that you say your tagline. So it feels like you're saying something different. So you're going to go back to that same DM convo slide and show them how to do the process. Or again, you can literally click the link below to apply. You can discern which method is best for you. They both work, but I kind of like going to the DMs because one, the application is going to be important because we're going to get the information on who they are. And then the DM is going to be awesome because we can literally see them. So if you can literally be like, okay, it's just the information we need for a funnel. Then you're going to send them a link. The link is going to have the video of your next training, which they're not going to really know about. It's going to, because it's going to be what you do to explain. And it's going to be the application link with all the details. So then after that, you know, that's going to be a separate. So keep in mind, this is training one, and then you have a short training for the actual like signature process. So you'll have it on the application, and then they can also enroll if they'd like to, but you'd also have them in the DM so you can follow up and talk to them and be like, da, da, da. So I do like that process. Then you talk about the what you do slide. It is literally your framework. It could be your 4 phases, your 4 steps, and you simply talk about it. So from a It's features the benefits. I'm going to teach you how to do this so you can solve this problem so you can get this desire, get this result. Okay, so if you have the 4 frameworks, again, you're going to now go through it step by step. So first, we're going to tackle your offer messaging so that you can avoid this problem, get this result. Then we're going to actually go into your funnel strategy, Then we're going to actually go into building your funnel, Then we're going to actually go into the traffic. Okay. How we help slide. So this is just breaking down what is the features inside of the program. So you can say there's Facebook group course, there's a Telegram chat, there's 1 weekly call, workbooks, Excuse me, Lou audits. What is it? What are they getting? You could just list them, and then why is it important? So you're going to get all the trainings, instant access, so that you can hurry up and dive in and get started on the results and not have to wait. You're going to get hot seat coaching so that the biggest things that you like that you cannot work through, you're going to be able to actually have in real time answer those questions answered. You're going to get implementation calls where we're going to take sections, and if that is the section that you're working on, we're going to whatever section you're working on, we're going to work on it together. So as you're building it, instead of like you coming and waiting to the hot seat coaching calls, as you're building it, I'm going to show you how to do. So the next thing is this is perfect for you if, right? You're calling out your avatar again, and you're just calling out that now position that someone is at. You want to make sure, again, you're qualifying the right people. We want to repel the people that aren't a good fit for this offer at this time. And you don't have to have this slide, but I do kind of I like to have a slide that kind of is like, this isn't for you. But instead of saying that, I like to be more like an empowering thing because to get for them to like get right so they can come back and sign up. And so I like to say, what is it that you need? So, I say the things, must be at least making, 10K from your launches, something like that, just little things, right? Because if someone has never launched before, they've never made sales, and it's like, it's not going to be a good fit, you must have had at least a 4 to 5 figure live launch or something like that. You must have clarity on who your buyer is, right? Because this is not, because then someone's like, oh, if their problem literally is like, I don't know who my buyer is. No, immediately, no, this is not for them. So then bonuses. If you have bonuses, you can list them. If you don't force it. Also, don't add bonuses just for fluff. Your bonuses should be listed if they truly crush an objection. If there's I want to build a funnel, but I'm like, oh, the tech is going to be too hard. Oh, guess what? You get pre-built templates. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to say in my email scripts. Oh, guess what? You literally get the lead magnet and abandoned cart scripts as bonuses. It's those type of things. If it's just there for fluff and does not solve an objection or friction point, leave it out. And then lastly, if you're called, another call to action, repeat how to do the process. Okay. Now, at the end of this, you want to review. I like to leave this at the end, not necessarily at the beginning. I like this. So that you're not stopping and looking for this, you can go back. So when you think about your presentation, go back, see, and think about all the objections, false beliefs, myths, roadblock, revealing wisdom that is counteracting them, finding the truth, friction points from offer, brand, journey, beliefs, all those things that your audience has, and make sure that they're in some way is addressed in a statement. It doesn't have to be this big, long out, drawn out thing, right? Oh, you don't have time. We'll work for you. You don't have to do all that. Just what are those things, right? So Katie, my dear sweet friend Katie, she told me, she was like, I love your funnel. She was like, but I don't see your face. I don't even actually, you know what I mean? So there's like missing that connection. And also, I don't know per se, the next thing my head goes is like, well, how do I get traffic? Because that's a friction point. Because with funnels, most people naturally assume you're going to start with ads. And so I love ads. However, I'm someone that says prepare yourself for ads because ads are literally just traffic. So I make it clear that, I'm going to teach you how to get organic traffic. Now I knew to handle that friction point, which is I'm going to get you organic traffic into your funnel so that you'll be prepared for ads, things like that. And then go through just making sure, again, you just go through this process and make sure that you're not overexplaining, you're not convincing, and you're really speaking to them from their process. From their point of view. If you want to, you can straight up do this inside of your Canva template and you share it with me and I can edit it in there. You can do it in here. Whatever is clever. Okay. We want to make sure that this is nailed and that you really understand the process of what this is what you are taking someone through from a buying masterclass. All right. So of course, if you have any questions, you already know. You already know how to find me. Okay. I can't wait to see your money making presentation.